You know, every day I look at gaming news. I wonder if gaming is even fun anymore. Everywhere I look, I see some sort of agenda pushing. Case in point, the Dead or Alive 6 review from EUROGAMER. I don't know if I will ever get around to make a video on that, but I want to start making videos on these gaming journalists who are more obsessed with making some sort of political statement than the gaming itself. And in those videos I will call them out on the hypocrisy and lack of journalistic integrity. The reason I brought up EUROGAMER is because the person who wrote the appalling review of Dead or Alive 6 also wrote the article Devil May Cry 5 fans puzzled by lens flare butt cover-up. Yes, because he's okay with a butt-naked woman, but jiggle physics and women in short skimpy clothes bother him. For those who do not know, Devil May Cry 5 came out this month and people who played it praise it a lot. Unfortunately, I ran in some money problems this month, so I couldn't pre-order it on PlayStation Store. Which is a good thing as well, because there seems to be some censorship going on in the PlayStation 4 version of the game. Now, I've not played the game, so I don't want to spoil it for myself or the people watching this video. But from what I could gather, there's a part in the game where some monster has captured Trish and Dante fights off the demon and saves her. As he lays her on the ground, we get to see her bare naked butt, at least on the PC and Xbox versions of the game. On the PS4 version, the sight is obscured with a lens flare that will make you think the scene is directed by J.J. Abrams or something. It is kind of pointless, really. Especially when you consider that the Japanese PS4 version of the game doesn't contain that lens flare. What makes the inclusion of the lens flare even more ridiculous is the fact that the game is rated 18 in the UK, the same rating that was given to Grand Theft Auto 5, which had plenty of boobs, foul language, and even a torture scene. It's quite obvious Sony made CAPCOM censor the scene because it's uncensored on other platforms. If there's anyone to blame here, it's Sony and their stupid censorship policies. What I'm trying to say is, the game is rated 18, okay? It is intended to be played by mature audiences. I don't see why censoring a butt that appears only for 3 seconds. I don't see why it needed censoring. I know it's 3 seconds because I sat there and I counted the damn seconds. I just don't understand the logic behind it. What the hell is Sony thinking? What are they, my mom? They think I'm some 5th grader who can't handle a flash of a butt? I'm not annoyed because I won't get to see any nudity. The cutscene is all over YouTube and the videos are not even age restricted. I'm annoyed at the fact that the scene is being censored for the Western PS4 version, but the Japanese version of the same console remains uncensored. I work my ass off in a dead-end job and I play video games to escape my boring life, and here I am looking at this rubbish. This is just pathetic. What are they censoring that bit for anyway? Who are they censoring that bit for? The game is intended for mature gamers, so why the hell are they censoring mature content? Now there is an outside possibility that Sony America never asked for that scene to be censored. It could be Capcom just playing it safe so they won't get any heat off from Sony America. So maybe they went ahead and censored it and Sony didn't even know about it. But according to GEARNUKE, there was a day 1 patch that added the lens flare. It was not there before and was added later. There's one more thing that I need to bring to attention here. There's a part in the game where Lady is naked and her butt is also censored by a lens flare, but that censorship appears on all platforms. I think that censorship was intentional by Capcom because the nudity in that scene is slightly longer than Trish's, and I felt it was more in my face than Trish's, which is I'm not complaining about. But the fact that the developers thought Trish's nudity is so insignificant that they completely overlooked it, and it was censored later, pretty much goes on to show how stingy the censorship policies are at Sony America. The Eurogamer article, which will be linked in the description box below, goes on to say, so what's going on? Current speculation points to a recent Sony policy that appears to be about toning down sexual content on PS4. there is something that cropped up a few times. I can't read properly. This is something that's cropped up a few times over the past year or so. Back in October 2018, for example, Senran Kagura Burst Renewal's PS4 release was delayed after Sony told its publisher to remove the controversial intimacy mode. The Steam version, by the way, included the intimacy mode. At the time, the game's localization producer said this was the result of a brand new policy at Sony. Was Devil May Cry 5 on PS4 changed under the same policy? We've asked Capcom for comment. Two things. One, if you want to know more about Sony's censorship policies and how it has affected game developers, especially the ones in Japan, I recommend you check out Appabend's videos because he's done a better job at covering the issue than these gaming journals. And two, the reason they added a lens flare was probably to appease the people who can't handle a woman's naked body. Because these are the kind of people who would go on to say rubbish like, "Oh, look at Capcom depicting the torture of a woman. She was naked and helpless," and will somehow tie her nudity to frickin' #MeToo movement. It's quite obvious that's what Sony is trying to do, and they're only doing it to gamers in the West where progressive liberals have taken over the media and they write hit pieces on gaming culture and gamers in general, thus affecting the image of the game and the company that creates and publishes it. Once again, read the review of Dead or Alive 6 on Eurogamer to understand what the heck I'm talking about. I can understand PlayStation 4 is Sony's platform, okay? They can decide what sort of game appears on their platform, and they obviously have some sort of guidelines a game developer must follow, but at least stay consistent. It pretty much goes on to show that there is someone in the localization department of Sony America who doesn't like nudity in Western versions of the game. Either that, or someone doesn't want gaming journalists writing articles about PlayStation 4 to be moderated and held accountable for the games that appear on their platform. Watch Rag's video on the matter, and you will get a clear idea of what the hell I'm talking about. Basically, I know I'm off topic here, but I think it was last year Valve decided that they will not moderate the games that appear on Steam, and gaming journalists lost their shit. I kid you not, they lost their marbles. Obviously, it was a very consumer-friendly approach that Valve went for, and they didn't care what anybody had to say. But I think someone at Sony does care and doesn't want the same shit tossed towards their face. It's a cause of concern because today someone at Sony America thought of censoring nudity from their platform. Tomorrow they can try to censor violence or speech from games. Anything that they deem to be problematic can be censored without asking gamers what they really want. The consumer should have a say in what they want to buy and play, and that experience should be uncompromised. If they want to play a game that has a bare naked butt, they should be able to do so without some company trying to force, the developers to censor it. The power should belong to the consumers, not to mega billion-dollar corporations. But you know what really worries me? The censorship that would affect my most anticipated game, Cyberpunk 2077. If you have seen the alpha footage of the game, you would have noticed the mature content that flows in the veins of the Cyberpunk game. I can only imagine the censorship that game would have to go through on Sony's platform. And worst of all, the design choices CD Projekt Red will have to change just to appease the platform moderators. I really hope CD Projekt don't change or get rid of the mature themes in the game. If they have to censor it, fine. Sony is the platform holder and CD Projekt Red has to play by their rules. But if they censor the game, I hope they censor it on Sony's platform, so people like myself who want to play the game without censorship can invest in a different platform like an Xbox One X or a PC. So yeah, that's all I wanted to have a rant about. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But remember, if you like my videos, if you subscribe to my channel, it will only make my voice louder, my channel stronger, and my dick harder. No homo. Peace out, people, and stay awesome.